I tell you about this guitar and this sort of general curiosity that I've always had for it that was recently re-sparked when I was having a conversation with this one guitar player. You see, I was doing this project where I was trying to learn more about baritone guitars, and I'd heard that this was like the go-to guy when it came to the subject, so I asked him if he wanted to set up a Zoom call.
It's going to be similar but different than the other ones, you know? And so my headspace is in that. I'm playing more baritone guitar while I'm here at the home studio just to get ideas out. I'm not really playing standard guitar as much unless I have a session or something I need to do.
Pause. Did you catch what he said there? Standard guitar? Well, I've seen Mark play standard guitar live, actually, and shocker, I know. He's really good at it. He had this really unique blend of feel and groove to the level at which I don't think I had really heard before, but just like his feel, other things about his overall guitar presence also seemed to stick out to me. The most notable of which being the guitar that he was playing. You see, Mark was playing this PRS, but it wasn't like any of the PRSs that I've ever played before. It was different. It was offbeat. In fact, it looked a little something like this. Okay, well, it wasn't exactly like this. It was red, but you get what I'm saying, right? So, ladies and gentlefish, this is a PRS Fiore. And like I was telling you before, I have this general curiosity behind it because it's unlike any of the other PRSs that I've ever played before. But Mike, what are those elements that make it so unique from all those other guitars? Well, thank you so much for asking, because in beginning to experiment with this thing and also doing some research behind the construction, I ended up finding 3 very specific reasons that I think would potentially make something like this one of the most unique guitars the PRS has come out with in the past couple of years. And let me tell you something, the third of which, not only had I never seen on a PRS before, I'd never seen on any guitar. But it all really started with the first thing. The construction. And this was the first thing that really hit me because the construction encompasses everything. The looks, the build, all of the elements that go hand in hand with the tone. And more specifically with the looks. I was really taken aback by the fact that this guitar doesn't really look like a regular old PRS, and more specifically, in a lot of ways, was kind of the exact opposite looks-wise of everything that I usually want in a PRS. You see, most PRS guitars are built with the top carve being a very big factor. The more expensive the line, the more pronounced the top carve. And with some of their more middle-of-the-line models, like the S2s now having core model pickups, this is really the big thing that sometimes separates these guitars by thousands of dollars, but it's a completely different conversation with the Fiore. Mostly because this guitar has a flat top. Now, initially, this changed the whole vibe of the guitar for me because so few of their double cut guitars have flat tops, but it didn't even stop there because this thing also had another element that I don't usually associate with PRS guitars, that being the maple neck. Now, I know that the Silver Sky and the NF53 are both technically flat top guitars that come with maple necks at points, but with this being the more traditional PRS double cut shape, if I can even call it that, or the more traditional PRS, I had never really seen it come like this solely or primarily with the maple necks, and to be completely honest, that kind of threw me off a bit. Because to be completely and utterly honest, the looks of this guitar are probably my least favorite thing about it. But I also understand with this having such a unique look, for a lot of players, that might be the thing that really draws them to this. The fact that it doesn't look like all of the other traditional PRSs. But even outside of just the looks, other parts of the construction really started to impress upon me that I hadn't seen in many PRSs before, like having the 25.5-inch scale length or having the Swamp Ash body that I hadn't seen in many others than the Swamp Ash Special or like the NF53. But even with that, the general construction was never going to be a good stopping point for me because I knew eventually I would have to face the second thing, the second element that would make this one of the most unique PRS guitars that I think I've ever seen, that being the tone. So going in, as always, I knew that the tone would play a significant role when it came to this guitar, and with it being one of the higher end PRSs outside of the core model, the question was never really whether it was going to be bad. It was really about the fact that most of the PRSs having the 8515s or the 5815s or even the narrow fields, and knowing that this had none of those. This had the Fiore pickups that were wound specifically for Mark Lettieri and for this guitar. So the real question was going to be figuring out, what are Fiore pickups supposed to sound like? Now, just with the general look of this guitar, both having the double cut and having the two Strat looking pickups, that was my immediate assumption on what the sound was going to be. But it wasn't until I actually started pulling out some of my Strat style guitars and putting it up against this thing that I really started to notice some of the differences. So let me actually show you what I'm talking about, and let me see if you can guess the same thing that I feel like I was hearing. Traditional Strat, I felt like maybe this was a bit brighter, maybe a bit snappier, but with the Pacifica, which was a lot closer to this both in layout and having the maple neck, it felt pretty one-to-one sonically. Now, comparing this to the Pacifica as opposed to the regular Strat, I felt like gave me a lot more context for what this thing or something like this was supposed to be. But it wasn't just getting context for the neck pickup. I also wanted to make sure I understood what this bridge humbucker was actually supposed to do with everything dialed all the way up, because this, again, is a Fiore humbucker of the style that I'd never heard before. Obviously, figuring out the sound was going to be an integral part of figuring out this guitar, but the real game changer wouldn't come until I hit the third leg of this race, and arguably the most important element of figuring out why this guitar is probably one of the most unique that PRS has ever released, that being this guy right here. Now, my immediate thought after having played quite a few PRSs over the years was that this was just a coil split, but that was where I was actually wrong. It actually puts the pickups in parallel, which gives you quite a few more tonal options, especially when it comes to the humbucker in the 1 and the 2 positions. Why would that singular thing make this guitar so unique? I mean, it's not like Paul Reed Smith invented pickups or even putting them in parallel for the first time, and you would be 100% correct. The thing that actually puts it over the edge in terms of being unique is not just the fact that it has this one push-pull, it's the fact that it has another one. And this is where the combinations really go crazy and the biggest part of our third element, because now no longer do you just get the pickups in parallel in terms of the humbucker. Now you get different combinations like the outer pickups with the humbucker in parallel. And all three with the humbucker in parallel. I think the thing I love most about a guitar like the Fiore is getting to experience a completely different side of Paul Reed Smith guitars. It feels very similar to the first time that I got to play or see an NF53, where it's so different in a lot of ways, so unique from everything that I'm used to. And even though I might not vibe with every single part of it, it feels really refreshing. I mean that about every single part of it, from the scale length to the look of the neck with the maple to having the humbuckers in parallel and having all of these different configurations. Like, this guitar feels like a completely new thing to me. I also feel like I can very much understand why players outside of Mark Lettieri really enjoy this guitar and enjoy the versatility behind it. Especially a lot of the players I've seen more recently who seem to be using this thing for tour work, for session work, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I don't think it matters what I think or what I've seen. What matters is what you think. So please let me know. What do you think of the PRS Fiore? With it being so different with the look, have you played one? Do you like it? Do you like the other more traditional PRSs better? Please let me know in the comments. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I've been wanting to do another PRS video for a while, especially something in the S2 range, and I was dead set on doing the CE24 like I was ready to do it, but my friend Alex, he wouldn't stop raving about the Fiore. He's a great guitar player, so thank Alex for this video. Anyways, if you want to know anything more about the Fiore from PRS, I got this one from the homies at Sweetwater. The links will be in the description. Make sure to check them out. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, if that's something you want to do. Or if you're just curious about any of the other gear that we used in this video. Quad Cortex, the cables, any of the guitars, heck, even the camera. Make sure to check out those links. Also, thank you so much to all of my patrons. There's some extra exclusive content on there if you want to join the community. Like and subscribe if you had a good time, and most importantly, most important of all, have a fantastic night.